Guide to how to install Mac OS X 10.5.7 onto Gigabyte P35 motherboards. There's also a special part on here about the Radeon HD 3870 graphics card because I have one and I had some particular trouble installing it. First, you download the IPC 10.5.6 ISO preferably with the PPF 5 final copy. I have that burned to this disk here. You can get that from torrent sites. I can't provide a link to that because that's illegal, but that's easily found. That is all you really need to start with. A couple of the hardware requirements for this are a Gigabyte P35 motherboard. I have the DS3L, and I'm pretty sure this guide will work for the DS3R and the DS3, plain DS3. You do need a SATA DVD drive and a Mac compatible video card. Supported video cards are GMA 900, GMA 950, GMA X3100. A lot of the newer Radeon cards will work, even with hacked drivers and things like that. The Gigabyte, the NVIDIA 8800 and 9800 series have a lot of cards that are compatible. And let's get started. And here we are. And make sure you have it set to boot from CD. Press any key to start from CD-ROM is what mine says, so I'm going to do that. Sorry about that, having a little tripod issue. This is what it says right now. You'll be confronted with the Apple screen. It'll take a little while to load because my DVD drive isn't the greatest in the world. But like I said earlier, make sure that your DVD drive is a SATA drive, not IDE, because Mac OS X really doesn't like IDE drives for some reason on PCs. Okay, after you get through that loading screen, you're going to want to select whichever language you want. I'm English, so we're going to go with that. It'll start preparing the installation, which I think is just booting from to the DVD, but you know, I'm not technically inclined like that, so you let it work on this for a while. And then you are confronted with the welcome screen. Click continue. You got the installer. This tells you some basic things about it. That a couple important things. By default, the kernel that's installed is the 9.6 vanilla kernel, and the default bootloader is the EFI version 9, which is the one I use both of those. If you have an AMD or SSE2 system, choose the Voodoo 9.5 kernel. Don't install this over another system, but if you're watching this, you probably haven't installed this yet. So just agree to that. Go up here to Utilities next, because there's no hard drive here. Well, there is a hard drive, but there wouldn't be a hard drive here when you start. You're going to want to go to Utilities and go to your disk utility. It'll say that it's gathering disk information. Over on the left hand side here, it will display all the hard drives that you have connected. I have mine installed on a Western Digital 160 gig hard drive. Just select a drive, and then you're going to want to erase the drive with Mac OS X extended. Right. Which is the HFS Plus file system, and you're going to want to name it something. I named mine Hackintosh 1.6 because I had to attempt this 7 times before I got it right. Then you just go down here and hit erase, which I'm not going to because I already have it installed and I don't want to screw that up. But you would, and then it would erase it and format it, which doesn't actually take nearly as long as Windows does. So then you're going to jump back to this screen. You want to select the hard drive that you just formatted, hit continue. And then you're going to be confronted with this screen, and you don't want to just install drivers. So you're going to go down here to customize and click that, and you will be confronted with this screen. This is where all the drivers are for you to customize. As far as kernels go, you don't really need that unless you're running the AMD system, in which case you're going to select 9.5, but 9.6 is installed by default, so Intel systems you're good to go. Drivers for Time Machine support fix, you probably want video drivers. This is really important because if you have the HD 3870, which I did, you can select a driver in here under HD and then 3800 series for Intel, but they did not work for me, and so I ended up not installing with IPC. I installed after I installed IPC, and I recommend you do that as well if you have the HD 3870 or 3850. And audio drivers, just choose your chipset. For the Gigabyte P35 motherboards, they're the ALC888 chipset. And then I also selected the AC97 under other audio drivers because my headphones weren't working because they were plugged directly into the AC97 port on the motherboard. As far as Ethernet drivers go, on the Gigabyte P35 boards, it's an Realtek R1000. You have the choices for other motherboards here as well. USB drivers, you don't really need any of those. Fixes and patches, you're going to want the ACPI patch fix, the SATA drive icon fix, because you don't want an orange SATA drive that just looks ugly. The shutdown and restart fix you're going to want, and if you have any PS2 devices like a mouse or keyboard, you're going to want to install the fix for that. I have a PS2 keyboard, so I installed that. I installed the DSDT with new HPET patch. That'll work for pretty much anything. As far as Apple SM BIOS goes, you're going to want the plain Apple SM BIOS 28. And you don't need an alternate bootloader, and I didn't install any applications with it. So then you go down here to Done, and you click that, and then you go on to click Install, and it will go, and then you will reboot.